Salud. So I fought with making this video all day long. I thought about doing it. I thought about not doing it. I'm still torn on it. I think it is incredibly important that we don't forget the events of 9/11. I think it's incredibly important that we don't forget those things. Where we were in our lives, what happened leading up to it, where we were the day it happened, and the things that happened after that shaped all of our lives into what they are now. Forewarned is forearmed. This is going to be kind of a political video. If you are an anti-American, anti-Trump, anti-whatever, TDS, deranged, weirdo, blue hair, 500-pound Antifa freak, go ahead and tune out now. If my comments in my initial impression video of this bike bothered you as far as where this country is politically and financially, go ahead and tune out. You're not going to be interested in this. A lot of the viewers on this channel are from India, and I think I'm postulating, I'm speculating, I'm guessing wildly. I think you guys think it's interesting that an American is interested in an Indian-made bike. A couple of you have made your own content, and I really like that. That is so cool. I got to see a couple of cool bikes. I want to see more of your country. I'm very interested in India, very interested in the people, very interested in the countryside, the roads, that kind of stuff. I think that's phenomenal. So thank you for making that content. A couple of you that have done that at my request. That's so awesome. I love that we have this community to share ideas. I'm sad that the tightening of it and the control of it is falling the way it is. That's too bad. But that's a topic for another day. What I'm going to talk about today is 9/11 and where I was and what I saw and how I remember it. So I was working in 1999. I went to work for a company called West Coast Pipe Inspection, and I went to work out in the yard doing menial tasks, helping the pipe inspectors. Later I was promoted to cleaning pipes on a machine. All of that was in preparation. The guy that interviewed me eventually hired me. He had a big say in hiring me. What they were looking for was an assistant mechanic. I didn't know that at the time. They hired me and put me to work out in the yard to see if I was actually a worker. So I went to work diligently, very hard, doing menial tasks, doing the worst of the worst. I started on the bottom, and after about 3 months of schlepping for, if you don't know what that word is, go look it up. After schlepping for the guys who were working the pipe racks and inspecting the pipes, I got to run a machine, and I went above and beyond running that machine, above and beyond by a lot. And the manager that hired me, the manager that made the decision to hire me, wasn't in charge of the production in the yard. He was in the factory, basically. It was like a factory. He was in charge of the maintenance department and the health and safety and environmental department. And he watched what I was doing, and when he saw after about 3 months, they opened a position that they wanted me to apply for. And I didn't apply for it because I was pretty much going to quit. It was a really terrible job. It was a horrible job, and I was prepared to quit. And I wasn't prepared. I was planning on quitting. I was working my way towards it. I was done. After 3 months of working 14-hour days, 7 days a week, I was just done. I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I wasn't going to do that. And the job came open for the mechanics assistant position, and I didn't apply for it because I was going to quit. And the mechanic came out and, why haven't you applied for that job yet? Dude, I'm going to quit. Screw this. I'm done. I'm so done. This is horrible. I hate working here. And if you saw the conditions I was working in, you'd understand. It was terrible. As a matter of fact, the machine I was running, there was another machine that was newer. The guy that was running it has since died of lung cancer. The stuff that where we're breathing, running that stuff, it'll kill me eventually if the arthritis doesn't first. But he's gone. He's not with us anymore. Good guy, Jose. Not an intelligent man, but a diligent man, a hardworking man, a family man. He was a good person. Good person. A good person. And I'm glad I got to know him a little bit. I wish I'd have known him a little bit more. He didn't speak English, so it was hard to, the Spanish I was learning was very, very poor. So I didn't get to learn enough to know him better, but he was a good guy, the bit that I knew. He was a very good person, and he's not with us anymore. Jose, salud, compadre. Anyway, Eloy basically jumped my butt, and position was created for you. You were hired so that we could move you into that position. I need a helper. Whoa. So I didn't know. Okay, well, I'll apply for it. It can't be this bad. And he's like, no, it's way better, way better. Apply for the job. I'm like, okay. So I applied for the job. And it was. And I was wet behind the ears. I didn't know much. I didn't know that was called a combo wrench. If you know what a combination wrench is, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. And not in this video. Anyway, I went to work in the mechanic shop, helping him, basically handing him tools, learning what he was doing. Inside of a year or so, this was 1999, inside of a year or so, I was doing the same tasks that he was doing. I was doing as much as he was doing. I had learned enough. And one of the breaking points was he shared with me, that bookshelf over there behind you, those books aren't just there for pretty. They have the exploded parts diagrams of all the machines that we have. They have all of the maintenance schedules for all the machines we have. And I learned how to read a maintenance manual, an operator's manual, a maintenance manual, and the overhaul and rebuild manual for a lot of the industrial equipment that we operated, and maintained. And I graduated the 8th grade with PhD level reading comprehension skills, language usage skills. So postgraduate, and I read those books, and I read them just like I read all my high school textbooks and my college textbooks, the little bit of college that I got. I read them through, and oh my goodness, you can see inside the machines based on these drawings. And it wasn't another couple months, I was doing stuff that even the mechanic that I was assisting couldn't do. So anyway, I was in the shop, and I was overhauling a hydraulic valve bank, and he came in 9 minutes in, and we're just now getting to the crux of it. I'll make a comment in the doobly-doo that you can jump ahead to some of this BS. That's a lot of my personal, again, this is where was I and what was going on when this happened. We went through the Y2K thing. I took that seriously. I know a lot of people didn't. And in retrospective, it was not a serious problem. They fixed it before it became an issue. But make no mistake about it, Y2K was fixed before it happened. So it was an issue. But we were ready for it, even if they didn't. So if the computers had crashed and the civilization had cratered, we were ready for it. I mean, kind of. We weren't really looking back. Nah, not really that well, but we could have lasted a few months. Anyway, I was there when Y2K happened. I remember the company meeting. The vice president stepped there, told us the company is Y2K proof. We've had all our computers looked at, everything's looked at, blah blah blah. Anybody have any questions? I want you here on January 2nd. And me, hey, hey Tony. I said, so is the banks for the company? Is the company's bank Y2K compliant? And he looked at me for a second. The owner of the company's in the room. The vice president, the president. I'm talking to the vice president, the president of operations, my manager, the owner of the company. The CEO, the CFO. They're all in the room. There's 50, 60 people behind me. I'm like, I have a question. They're like, what? Is the company's bank Y2K compliant? And he looked at me for a second. He goes, yeah. And he goes, I like getting a paycheck as much as the next guy, John. Yes. We made sure the bank was Y2K compliant. Cool. I'll be here on the 2nd. So I remember looking over kind of out of fear. The owner was like, yeah, I like that guy. Am I going to get paid? Because you otherwise. Yeah, he just kind of looked like, yeah, good job, dude. You gonna get paid? Yeah, I'm gonna get paid because if I'm not getting paid, I'm not gonna be here. Like Gus Davidson used to say, talking about memories. My money's funny. I don't come to work. So anyway, I went to Y2K with that company. Got into the year 2000, 2001, and towards the end of 2001. And I was in the shop. I was rebuilding a hydraulic valve bank on the workbench. And Eloy came in. Eloy Garcia came in and he says, did you hear what happened? No, it was one of the few days I didn't have talk radio playing, And he said, man, he says, they just flew planes into the World Trade Center. They just flew a plane into the World Trade Center. I'm like, what? I said, was it an accident? He says, I don't know. He says, but they're saying there's bombs going off in Washington, D.C. And this is where the story kind of people like, yeah, okay, John, this is where I usually get completely discounted. I was like, what? So I went and I turned the radio on. We had a stereo that I had with the speaker separate over the door in the shop, and I set it up so it was optimized for sound so you could hear it everywhere in the shop. The acoustics were great. And I went and turned it on. I turned on, the talk radio station was already on. Sometimes we had music. Sometimes we had talk radio. And music, sometimes it was rock, KNZR for radio or KERN for talk radio. And rock was a lot of times KRAB, the more modern stuff that I liked, and then Julio. Shout out, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Kind of miss you. Anyway, Eloy, not Julio. Eloy liked to listen to, and sometimes we'd play Campesina, just for the hell of it. And he didn't want to admit that he liked that, but he liked it. We'd listen to it. So anyway, we'd listen to that. Sometimes listen to KRAB. Sometimes we'd listen to a lot of the oldies. We could both jive on the oldies. Me and him both liked oldies, so we played a lot of oldies if we listened to music. But a lot of it was talk radio because that's what I wanted to listen to. And still to this day, that's what I listen to. I don't listen to talk radio as much anymore, but I listen to Classy Arias, The Thinkery, Sargon, who is The Thinkery, Black Pigeon Speaks, who is Classy Arias. I listen to Tim Pool, believe it or not. I'm not super ultra right-wing conservative, believe it or not. I do listen to Tim Pool, though I don't agree with him a whole lot. I listen to Black Conservative Patriot. I wish he used a real name, but I listen to him a lot. I listen to Jericho Green now, I just found him about a month ago. I've been listening to him, and he's more than anything, he's a common everyman. He's a middle class common everyman. He's a dude just like me. He's got a job. He goes to work. He's looking after his kids. He's me 10 years ago. So, I listen to that guy. Anyway, I listen to a lot of YouTube stuff. Put the phone in my back pocket. I'll let that play. There's Mama. Anyway, he came in and said that. He said, did you hear what's happening? I'm like, no. He said, they flew a plane into the World Trade Center. I'm like, no. It had to have been an accident. He's like, well, they're setting bombs off. I'm like, what? Like I said, this is where everybody kind of leaves me. They don't want to hear it. So we turned the radio on. Had the radio playing, as described. Radio's playing, and reports were rolling in. They set a bomb off at this embassy. They set a bomb off at that embassy. And this is where I get really angry about remember 9/11. None of you remember this, and I don't understand how that's possible. None of you were listening to the radio. I was listening to a radio station. This was broadcast. They shut down the local broadcast, and they just played the national. I could not have possibly been the only person that heard all this junk. And every time I talk about it, everybody like, okay, John, I'm over here now. Nobody wants to hear this, and it blows me away. This was the national. This was NBC, ABC, CBS. This was the national radio broadcast stuff was going on. And they set a bomb off at this embassy, and they set a bomb off at that embassy. And a report came in at one point. They set a bomb off. They drove a car up the steps of the Capitol. How in the hell they did that? I'm sitting there thinking, how is that possible? I know what that building looks like. How'd they get a car up there? They set a bomb off in the rotunda of the Capitol building. And I'm like, what the hell? That's not possible. They set a bomb off in front of the White House. And I'm sitting there listening to this, and I'm like, oh my God, these people, whoever they are, how did they get into our country to do all this stuff? They're systematically destroying our bonds and connections with our allies, our means of communication through the embassies, right? Our means of communication. And this is me in my 20s. They're destroying our bonds, our ability to communicate with our allies, our bonding with our allies. They're destroying our ability to communicate with people we don't even get along with. They are completely isolating us from the world. Bomb after bomb after bomb report came in, car bombs mostly, right? Came in from the news media about things going off in the Capitol. They set a bomb off in the rotunda. They set a bomb off in front of the plane stuff that actually happened was coming in along with this stuff. And I'm like, Jesus, they are systematically destroying and dismantling our communication apparatus with the world while they are destroying our government, the Pentagon. They hit the World Trade Centers, and to me, I'm sorry guys, that is a huge deal, because it turned out that was the biggest target. Okay, but at the time it wasn't. Listening to all these reports and what's going on, that wasn't the biggest target. That was like, to me, that's an ancillary target. That's a show target. That's for them to show us that we can destroy your financial means. And I'm like, okay, but that's what that is. That's for show. But the stuff they're doing around it with the car bombs and the other airplanes, holy cow. The one that crashed in the field, that was meant for the White House, they said. And they didn't know. At the time, we're listening to this, and there's a plane heading towards the White House. They didn't know. The people on board 93 were listening to the news too, and this is like the new age of communication. People are just starting to get this information delivered to them firsthand for the first time. It's 10 years prior, the ability to get that information, they knew. We all knew, and I'll get to this in a second. We all knew if the plane's hijacked, you sit down and shut up. You're going to get redirected to someplace weird. You're going to lose 2 or 3 days. They're going to rescue you. It's not going to be a problem. But you sit down and you shut up. You just sit down and shut up. You don't, Out of 4 planes, the one that was trailing got the information. They're flying these planes into buildings. And those guys got up. Hey, God love them. Those guys got up and said, hell no. I might die here. I might die now. I'm going to die today. But these bastards aren't going to use my plane to kill other people. And they got up and did something about it. That's America, baby. That's America. They caught up and they did something. Within 4 planes of doing shit, the 4th one, they were like, hey, we have new information. No, sit down and shut up doesn't work. Get to that later. I'm like, okay. I'm listening to this crap, and I'm in the shop, and I put the bank of hydraulic valves back, and I put the levers over by it, and I laid it out where it'd be easy to find tomorrow, and I put rags over it. I put oiled rags over it so it would catch the dust. And I want dust and junk getting into these valves. And I started putting things away. And Eli says, what are you doing? I said, dude, I'm going home. I was like, what do you mean you're going home? I said, are you listening to this shit? And then I explained it to him. And Eli was a good guy. He had his flaws, and we had our disagreements about some things. But all in all, Eli was a good guy. But he wasn't that sharp. And honestly, neither am I a lot of the time. And there's a lot of things I've failed. There's a lot of things I've failed at, you know. And anyway, as smart as I was, you know, and as advanced as I was becoming, doing stuff that he was like, what the hell are you doing? You know, even I fail, and I'm not that sharp sometimes. But I explained it to him like I just explained it to you. They're systematically destroying our routes of communication with our allies, with our enemies, with people we're on the fence with. They're blowing up embassies. We don't even know if this is all of it. We don't even know if this is all of it. They're going through and they've blown up the Capitol building. They tried to blow up the White House. They're trying to fly a plane into the White House. Dude, I'm going home. I'm getting my stuff in order. I'm going to make sure that the family is okay and all of the family is all right. And then we'll see where we're at. I might be at work tomorrow. I might call in sick. I don't know, but I'm going home. He's like, Greg's not going to really like that. I really don't care. Greg was our manager at the time. I said, I really don't care. Greg can fire me. You're listening to this, dude. You seriously, and I told him at the time, because he had kids that were grown. I said, you seriously, you need to go home too. And he's like, what? I said, you need to go home. You need to make sure your shit's in order. You need to make sure you have food and water. You need to make sure that you're properly armed. Whatever you need to do, you need to make sure your kids are okay and that they're sound and secure and that you have a means of communication with your family. Because the government's reaction to this is scarier than what's actually going on. What's actually going on is over on the East Coast. It's not our problem here directly. But it could be, depending on how organized these people are. Whoever's doing this is organized. They've got their stuff together. I said, you need to go home and make sure you've got your shit together. Whatever's going on here can wait. I said, we don't have anything here that's as important as what's happening right now. I'm like, well, at least he considered it. But this is all these reports rolling in, right? I got all my stuff picked up. I got my stuff together. I stopped what I was doing for like 5-10 minutes, and I'm resting against the bench. I have my backside against the bench, and I'm resting there, and I'm like, I'm just listening to the radio. And the first retraction came in. The first retraction came in. And this is really important, guys. I'm going to make a point at the end of all this about all the fake news that's going on. And if you want to go right now, stop this. This is way less important. Go watch Tim Pool right now. The video he released today, they skewed a poll intentionally to make it look like Trump couldn't win. And they got caught doing it. They got sued, and they were forced to put the real numbers out. Fake media. Fake news. That's what's really going on in this country, and it's been going on. Okay? It's really important that you guys understand that. I'm sitting there, I'm leaning against the workbench. I've got all my stuff put away. All my tools are put up, everything. I know I'm coming to work in the next couple of days. It's going to be really important. And this is where my mind's going. It's really important that we come to work and that we're productive and that we keep the country going. You know, even my small little part of nothing, my maintenance activities in a yard where we inspect tubing and keep tubing rolling. You know, how is this going to affect getting new tubing? We're already dealing with Boshan Steel in China for tubing. We need to reclaim tubing from the oil fields so we can keep the oil fields running. This is important to the country, right? So I'm already thinking that far ahead, and I'm thinking, but my immediate family is more important to me right now. But I'm going to have to come back to work. So I've got my stuff put away, got everything put away and organized the way I like to keep it. And you can't tell by looking at this junk. I'm bumping the tripod, sorry guys. You can't tell by looking at this junk because I've kind of given up on things. But anyway, we'll get to that in another video. I put everything away, I organized it. Okay, I'm ready to come back to work in a day or so because I'm probably not coming back tomorrow with what's going on. And the first retraction rolls in. The car bomb at the embassy for the whatever it was, I don't remember the specific on it, that didn't happen. I'm like, okay. I waited a couple more minutes. The car bomb in the Capitol building, which I thought was odd to begin with. How in the heck, if you've seen the Capitol, even if you've seen I'm Just a Bill, a lonely old Bill, and I'm sitting on Capitol Hill, right? These are the steps. Yeah, how the hell are you going to get a car up there? A car bomb went off in the rotunda. Like, no way. Even that. And if after a couple minutes, then that one came in. Well, that didn't happen either. And then the car bomb in front of the White House didn't go off. Then they started scaling it back. Oh, this didn't happen. That didn't happen. The reports we're getting of this and of that and blah, blah, blah. We're really sorry to say. It drives me crazy that nobody else remembers this. I get the craziest looks from people when I talk about this. What? This happened. It happened. It's not just like, well, what do you know? No, it happened. In the national media, they were going like the government was being destroyed. I'm like, what the heck? And in that moment, especially with just prior to that, all the Y2K stuff, it's like, it's a little over the top. And now this happens. And you're just like, what the heck? So, like, okay, I called Mama. She's like, she was at home at the time. And she saw the footage. I think she was at home. I need to go ask her, where were you? I should have her out here, too. She saw the footage of the second plane flying to the World Trade Center. She said, no, the planes are real. None of the car bomb stuff is real. None of that's happening. And I was like, okay. And so I don't think any of that's happening. Eloy comes back. He says, Greg says you have to turn the radio off. I said, no. You can tell Greg to come over here himself. No. Because now the retractions are rolling. And I want to hear what's actually going on. So nothing out of that. He didn't come out. Huh? Dinner? He didn't come out. He didn't stop me from listening to the radio. We listened to the radio the rest of the day. I went home at the regular time. I pulled my stuff back out and I went back to work because it wasn't as bad, but it was bad. It wasn't as bad as I tried to say it was, but it was bad. It was really bad. And then when I got home that night is when I saw the actual news footage, the second plane, because at the time I don't think anybody had the first plane going in. They didn't have that footage yet, but they had the second plane going in, and they played that over and over, and we saw all of the footage of the people jumping and the fires, and they were playing as much sound as they could get a hold of. That stuff's all been hoarded, put away now, but I remember that. I went to work the next day, and it was like, ooh, it was a very somber day. But that's where I was when 9/11 happened. That's what I saw. That's what happened. A lot of people shrink and don't want to hear that. They shy away. And They don't want to hear me talk about that. And I can't believe more people don't remember that. I really can't. It blows me away. And when I see all the fake stuff going on in the news today, and we have a president that has to openly call out the news media for being fake. And I remember back then how fake they were and how they bloated that and blew it up and made it something it wasn't. It's unreal. It's unreal to me where we're at in this country. And it has been for a long time. I've written letters to our Senate Senators Feinstein and Boxer, to our state assembly persons. This Cal Exodus, I called this way long time ago, way before it was an issue. And I told them in the letter, you guys worried about the Republicans wanting to build a wall to keep the immigrants out. You're going to have to build a wall to keep people in, because people are going to want to flee this state the way you're going. And here we are, I actually got us out of here. Some people didn't want to go along with that, so here we still are. But neither here nor there, we're stuck. It's hell or high water, and it's going to be both. But anyway, that's where I was. That's what happened. That's how I remember 9/11. I can't believe where we're at now and what's going on in the world. I really can't. The media continues to propagate these lies. They continue to try to shape the opinion of people, and it just blows me away. It blows me away how obvious they are now. It's really bad. So, the other thing that I really remember that's 9/11 related, and I don't remember the exact date. I really don't. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I did, because it would be a little more pertinent if I could remember the exact date. I remember where I was. I was in a customer's yard in Taft. I was filling out the ticket for working on their Hotsy RC3000 water treatment system, and the work that I had done to it, including the maintenance. And I was writing the ticket, and it had KERN radio playing. And they announced the Patriot Act having been signed by our president. And I remember just taking my glasses off and setting them on the dashboard. I was sitting in my service truck, and I was writing that ticket, and I was almost done with it. And I set my glasses on the dashboard, and I was just kind of like, oh my God. There's a scene in Star Wars where he says we're reforming the first the Galactic Republic into the first Galactic Empire, and he's basically naming himself Emperor. And the Queen of Naboo, Natalie Portman's character, I can't remember her name. Anyway, she's sitting there. She says, "So this is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause." And I remember thinking the same thing when they declared war on terrorism. Terrorism is a tactic. It's a military tactic. It's like a flanking maneuver. It's a tactic. Terrorizing the populace. We employed it in World War II. We targeted civilian centers in Europe to break the will of the people, to terrorize them. Terrorism is a tactic. It's something you employ in war to end the war as quickly as possible. It's insurgents, people who are in insurrection cells, people who are fighting a more powerful, more tyrannical government. Terrorism is a tool that they use to break the will of the people and their support of the government that's doing whatever the thing it is they're doing to them. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying what it is. Terrorism is a tactic, and we declared war on terrorism, on a tactic. And I remember at the time, it was immediate. It was right after 9/11. It was right away. The Congress declared war on terror, and W. Bush signed it. Yeah. And I remember people going, yeah, that ought to do it. And I remember there was a cartoon, a political cartoon, and it was Uncle Sam holding a declaration of war on terror. He says, that ought to about cover it. What the hell is wrong with you people? Do you not understand language? Do you not get the thing? Do you not understand this? What this is? And it is. It's endless war. You cannot squash a tactic, because anybody that's inferior to you militaristically, anybody who is standing up against you is employing terror. And it's just a matter of you saying they're terrorists. They're employing terror tactics. What they're doing is intended to strike fear into the hearts of the people, and it's terrorism. And we're at war with them now. Not because we're at war with them now, but because we've always been at war with them, because we're at war with terror. And I remember at the time thinking, oh my God, I can't believe you people are cheering this on. This is horrible. This is how freedom dies. This is how freedom dies, with thunderous applause. And then I remember the Patriot Act, and I thought the same. I thought, oh my God. Oh my God. We're going to form the Department of Homeland Security. Do you know how bad that sounds? That's oh my, I couldn't, at the time, it turned my stomach. It literally turned my stomach, it made me sick to my stomach. The Department of Homeland Security. And most of you people haven't read your Constitution. You don't know what this country is supposed to be shaped like. And there's another guy I listened to that I didn't mention earlier, Bill Whittle, and he says, I want my government to be put back into the shape and the form that fits in its original packaging. The FBI is illegal. Do you understand that? Do you not get that? Your federal government is not allowed to hold a police force against the civilian population. Only the states. Read the 10th Amendment. Anyway, that's where I was on 9/11. That's what I remember happening. I'm torn on sharing this. I think I'm going to go edit this down and share it. I might not. Most people don't want to hear what I'm saying right now. They really don't. And I can't say I blame them. You know, I can't say I blame them. I'm asking you to question things that you probably don't think should be questioned. I don't know. At the time, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe where we're going with this. And people still don't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it then either. I tried one time to kind of speak out about the whole war on terror thing, and nobody wanted to hear that. How was, what are you, some kind of faggot hippie freak? You know? Ooh, there's my video demonetized. Now you get why I don't really care how many subscribers I get. I say the things I want to say. This is for me to go back and watch later when I can't remember. And even now, it's, you know, it's augmented by time, very slightly, but that's anyway. Yeah, I spoke out on the war on terror thing at the time, and when the Patriot Act was signed, when I came back into town, I told you know, one of the few friends I have that, you know, one way or the other anyway, I told him about it. I said, did you hear this? He's like, no, what? And I told him. And he's like, oh. And he didn't really understand it either. And he's one of those people that you can't tell him anything. So, it's, you know, it's a whole new foreign idea that it shouldn't be like that anyway. I went around after 2001 and I handed out pocket constitutions, especially to our veterans. We had a lot of guys, 2005, 2006, 2007. We had a lot of guys coming back from the actions that were taken in the Middle East after 9/11, and they would ask me questions because I'd be working on something and I'd have the truck radio playing. It'd be Rush Limbaugh or whoever, and they'd ask me stuff. They'd say, "Hey, what about this, or what about that, or hey, I heard you listening to that, what do you think?" And I'd take the opportunity and I'd talk to them, and there were more than a few times they were our veterans, young kids, young guys, and I'm in my 30s and these guys are in their 20s, and they're back from what they were asked to do over there. And it was really important to me to explain to them how great it was that they stepped up to be in service to our country. And it was also important to me that they understand that they swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of this nation. And I'm saying this to those guys now if they're watching. I'm saying this to you guys who are just coming back if you're watching. I'm saying this to all you guys who served way back before. And I'll tell you, if you ever noticed this eye goes wherever the hell it wants, I couldn't serve. I tried. I tried. They caught me. A couple times that I tried to fake it to get in, they caught me. And I couldn't serve. I couldn't do it. I understand what you guys did. I understand the sacrifices you made. I get it. I do. And I am appreciative of your sacrifices. I'm appreciative of the work you guys did. And I thank you for it. And I wish I could have been there with you. I wish I could have called you brothers in that sense. I'm also very appreciative, and by that I mean I appreciate wholly the oath that you swore and the document that you swore to uphold and defend. And I handed out those pocket constitutions to those guys, and a lot of times they came back, holy cow. And I told them every time, you might not even agree with this thing, but you don't know what it is. And you swore before God and your commanding officer and your family, if they were there that day, you swore that you would uphold this and defend it with your life. And a lot of times you guys don't know what it says, and they would read it. A lot of them, they would read it and they'd be like, oh my God, how far out of balance is our country? Exactly. How far out of whack are things? They would come back and they would ask questions. And a lot of times I knew, and a lot of times I didn't know. And what you do, let's read about it. And the ones that would take the time to read the thing, I had copies of the Federalist Papers, and I would direct them to those websites and stuff because the internet was becoming a thing. And I appreciate those guys who came back and understood that and took the time and effort to read it and read about it and understand it. I have more respect for you guys than anybody. But we are severely off center. We are way off kilter. This country is way out of balance. There's a lot wrong going on right now. And I think it's worth a revisit. Read the Constitution, understand, and read the Federalist Papers. Read the stuff that founded this nation and understand the languages behind what we were meant to be. It's really important. And 9/11 was a tragedy. It was a travesty. It was something that should never have happened. But the things that followed it, even more so. Anyway, that's where I was. That's what was going on. That is my memories of it. Today is 9/11. I hope you guys remember. I hope you guys remember. I hope we don't see re-election of people like Ilhan Omar. Disgusting, vile people, not because she's a Muslim, but because she's a disgusting piece of crap. That woman is vile and evil. The things she says are disgusting. what she is about is wrong and does not belong in this country. I hope she's not reelected. I hope you guys remember what this date means. And I hope we keep working. I hope we keep working and moving back towards what this country's supposed to be. I really do. Anyway, this has gone way too long. There's 46 minutes and 40 seconds that you'll never get back, as Mr. Holster would have said. This video's gone way too long. I didn't mean to go that long, but it's one of those things you can't really say it that quick. So, cheers. Somber remembrance. Always look back, continue looking forward. Hopefully we can find our way back again. Guys, have a good one. Catch you on the next one.